to each of you. We're here at SSUC in South Edmonton, and wherever you're joining us from this morning, welcome to our online spiritual gathering of Southminster Steinhauer United Church, where we're spiritual seekers, united in community. Regardless of where we are, Edmonton, Saskatoon, or wherever you are this morning, we're building community online together, so welcome. In the room today, Nancy and I, musicians Micah and Carolyn, Andrea and Brett are our technical team. Hello from all of us to you. Today we're on our second last letter in our series called ABCs for Deeper Living, which means today we're focusing on the letter Y for yearn. It's in times like this that we're thinking beyond our current situation and turning to hope, to expectations, to yearnings for our world post-COVID-19 pandemic. As we explore this theme this morning, we invite you to be ready to engage with us a little later in the gathering. By text or by email, be prepared to offer what you're yearning for, your post-pandemic wishes for the world. And you can prepare by seeing those numbers and that address on your screen. More on that later. Let's right now turn to lighting our candles. Do you have a candle there that you'll be lighting this morning with us as we light ours? Invite you to make your space a special one. We invite you to make wherever you are right now a place that's set apart in some way. It could be any way. It's important that we make our environment where we are different, perhaps, from the rest of our day, because most of us are in our homes most of the time. So let's make this time something different. A candle can help us do that. Facing a different direction than we usually sit can help us do that. Turning our monitor or moving to a different room. Whatever it takes for us to spend the next 45 minutes or so to be together and know that this is a time for us to be connected digitally to each other, but also to have something hopefully meaningful as the start to our Sunday. We know that being by ourselves doesn't mean being alone. We're together, and that's important. And so as we light our candle this morning, we light our candles for our heart's desires. We light our candles for our focus beyond something here and now, beyond our present. We light our candles to know that together we imagine and we bring light not only to today, but to our tomorrows. So for a moment, let's sit in this light. Let's sit in this environment we've created for ourselves, wherever we are. Let's be fully in this moment with gratitude for it as we sit in this light we've lit.
Our prayers are born of yearning. Longing is the lifeblood of our soul. So when we gather with one another, we express our yearnings collectively. We pray together. With our many voices, wherever we find ourselves this morning, know that our voice is joining with the voice of others who are in their place, as together with one another, a community of solitudes, we strengthen our intentions with one another. We pray. Will you join me? We are people of dreams. They are what inspire us, what drives us to action, what keeps us focused on building a new and better future. Let's take time to dream and to ponder our wishes, hopes, and intentions for our collective future. In honesty, we can celebrate the ways our deepest dreams have come true and our dreams that have been broken. Let's affirm the ways in which our world has become more inclusive and more capable. Let's lament the ways in which we still wound one another. We still dream of the end of prejudice, abuse of power and inequity. We still dream of acceptance and honoring of one another. We still dream of health, wholeness, and connection for all life on our planet. Let's dream as we love, moving to action for the world of our dreams, by our intentions, through our vulnerability, and through our hard work. May it come to be so. This is a time for all ages, a time we all love because stories are the stuff of life, and this is a time we get to tell one another a story. The story I want to share with you today is one of my favorite stories. It's called Something from Nothing, and it's written by a woman named Phoebe Gilman. It's wonderful because it has two stories going on. The one you see in the big pictures and the one you see in the small pictures going below. It's a story of Joseph and his family. You see in the picture Joseph with his grandpa. The big pictures you'll see in a moment have Joseph's family, and the little pictures you're going to see down at the bottom tell another story from the mice that live down below. So here's Joseph's story, something from nothing. When Joseph was a baby, his grandfather made him a wonderful blanket to keep him warm and cozy and to chase away bad dreams. But as Joseph grew older, the wonderful blanket grew older too. One day, Joseph's mother said to him, "Joseph, look at your blanket. It's frazzled, it's worn, it's unsightly, it's torn. It's time to throw it out." "Grandpa can fix it," Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the blanket and turned it round and round. He said as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needle flew in and out and in and out. "There's just enough material here to make a wonderful jacket." Joseph put on the wonderful jacket and went outside to play, but as Joseph grew older, the wonderful jacket grew older too. One day his mother said to him, "Joseph, look at your jacket. It's shrunken and small, doesn't fit you at all. It's time to throw it out." "Grandpa can fix it," Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the jacket and turned it round and round. He said as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needle flew in and out and in and out. "There's just enough material here to make a wonderful vest." Joseph wore the wonderful vest to school the very next day. But as Joseph grew older, the wonderful vest grew older too. One day, his mother said to him, "Joseph, look at your vest. It's spotted with glue and there's paint on it too. It's time to throw it out." "Grandpa can fix it," Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the vest and turned it round and round. He said as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needle flew in and out and in and out. "There's just enough material here to make a wonderful tie." Joseph wore the wonderful tie to his grandparents' house every Friday. But as Joseph grew older, his wonderful tie grew older too. And one day his mother said to him, "Joseph, look at your tie. This big stain of soup makes the end of it droop. It's time to throw it out." "Grandpa can fix it," Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the tie and turned it round and round. He said as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needle flew in and out and in and out. "There's just enough material here to make a wonderful handkerchief." Joseph used that wonderful handkerchief to keep his pebble collection safe. But as Joseph grew older, his wonderful handkerchief grew older too. And one day his mother said to him, "Joseph, look at your handkerchief. It's been used till it's tattered, it's splotched, and it's splattered. It's time to throw it out." "Grandpa can fix it," Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the handkerchief and turned it round and round. He said as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needle flew in and out and in and out. "There's just enough material here to make A wonderful button. Joseph wore the wonderful button on his suspenders to hold his pants up. One day his mother said to him, "Joseph, where is your button?" Joseph looked. It was gone. He searched everywhere, but he couldn't find it. Joseph ran down to his grandfather's house. "My button, my wonderful button is lost." His mother ran after him. "Joseph, listen to me. The button is gone, finished, kaput. Even your grandfather can't make something from nothing." Joseph's grandfather shook his head sadly. "I'm afraid that your mother is right," he said. The next day, Joseph went to school. He said, as his pen went scritch, scratch over the paper. "There's just enough material here to make a wonderful story." I love this story. And these are days when there's a lot of nothing. There are a lot of no's. Things we can't buy, no school, no time with friends. So many things that we can't do. But there's so many things we can do. The wonderful lesson that Joseph learned from his grandfather. We can make something out of nothing. We can make amazing things out of every ordinary thing. If we'll use our imagination and use our creativity, we can make castles out of cardboard. We can make stories about where the snow goes when it disappears. So this week, let's be looking for all those ordinary things that can be something else, something quite extraordinary, as we give it the gift of our imaginations.
This is the parable of the fig tree, a story told in the writings of the first century in the Jesus community, and it's found in Luke chapter 13. A man had a fig tree growing in his vineyard, and he came looking for fruit on it, but didn't find any. So he said to the vineyard keeper, "See here, for 3 years in a row I've come looking for fruit on this tree and haven't found any. Cut it down. Why should it suck the nutrients out of the soil?" In response, the vineyard keeper said to him, "Let it stand 1 more year until I get a chance to dig around it, work in some manure. Maybe it'll produce next year. And if it doesn't, then we can think about cutting it down." In this story told in an early Jesus community, may we find wisdom for our living. What is it to yearn? To have an intense feeling of longing. To wish for something beyond what we're experiencing now, perhaps. That word, yearn, is intensely connected with other words like hope, like imagination. The experience of longing and yearning is important now more than ever because we're in a time where everything, our every day, for most of us, is different than we're used to. We're having to adapt very quickly to a new normal. And after just a few weeks of most of us being confined to our homes in ways that we have never had to before, I think the novelty's worn off. I think the wondering of what this will be like when we put it into practice has been satisfied. We know what this is like now. And now we're living it, for better and for worse. We're learning or relearning concepts like doing without, or making do, improvising, making something from nothing, enduring. And amidst a world battling to reduce numbers of a virus, to avoid more infections, to keep each other safe with restrictions and limitations, there comes a desire, a yen, a hope, a longing. We have lots of time to think about this. To yearn isn't to be nostalgic. In other words, to yearn and to long isn't to look backwards. It's not just to have things the way we're more used to having them, that things could go back to normal. But yearning is our longing for something better. Maybe even something new, with newfound appreciation or renewed understanding, hopes for a world on the other side of this global pandemic. To yearn is to wish, to hope, to expect something else and something new and something different. And I'm suggesting that to yearn and to hope is a positive activity that we all need to be engaged in actively right now. This story from the first century, when a fig tree hasn't created any fruit in 3 years, it's at times like that that an attitude of yearning and hoping is needed the most. Not when the tree is in full bloom. A tree in full bloom requires virtually nothing of us. Look at it. Isn't it doing great? Same is true of our lives. When all is well, with our health, with our friends, we don't yearn for much. We don't want for much. And it's in times like we're in right now that we need an attitude of hope and yearning, when it actually helps us to verbalize it, when we can look around and see that things are not all well. And even if all we know are healthy, physically, not all are well emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And we know the difficulties that these times have on many of us. There comes a time when the gardener is very tempted to just say, "This dang tree is dead." The news looks bleak. But in this story, the patient gardener won't accept that as an answer for his fig tree. Not yet. Rather than denying reality, This gardener refuses to give up hope. And what does he do? Is he uses what he has. He has, it seems, unending patience. And he uses that. He uses whatever he has to express his wish, his heartfelt yearning for his tree to thrive. He begs for one more year of care and attention, one more year for it to establish itself, one more year for it to bear fruit, for something good to happen. Yearning and hope has a lot to do with patience. A yearn for health and vitality once more requires not only our work and our mental energy, but also our patience. So cultivating an attitude of patient yearning is where we're at. For those moments when there are four walls around us and we seem very enclosed and we think, do we have to look at these walls for one more minute? It's those moments that are like the tree with no fruit. But as the wisdom of Lin Yutang tells us, hope is like a road in the country where there was never a road. But when many people walk on it, the road comes into existence. And that's the road that we're trying to walk. That's the attitude we're trying to cultivate, isn't it? And we're being creative. We're attempting to make something out of this time. We're cleaning out closets. We're reaching out to people we haven't talked to in a while. We're delivering meals. We're picking up projects that we have laid in drawers and closets for a long time. We're learning music. We're doing crafts. We're starting seeds. We're reading books. We're learning new things. We're turning a blanket into a coat. We're turning a handkerchief into something else. We're turning spare bits of whatever into something creative. We are making something of this. That's part of yearning. It's part of our hoping. It's part of our patience. Another thing about yearning is that it takes the long view. I was reminded of Nelson Mandela this week when I was listening to a podcast, imprisoned for 27 years, trying to imagine what that would be like. And to imagine what he was thinking about. And we could probably guess that he didn't spend a lot of his mental energy on what was for lunch. We know from his writings that Nelson Mandela spent a lot of time pondering the long view, his vision for South Africa, his vision for humanity. I think maybe it's a little bit like a bird flying through the air who probably doesn't spend a lot of time pondering the fences on the ground. What are fences to a bird? Benjamin Zander has given many TED Talks, and in one TED Talk called The Transformative Power of Classical Music, he says, what if a musician focused on and emphasized every note? Have you ever heard a 7-year-old trying to play a piano piece? That's what happens when every note is a struggle. And when you think about playing every note. If our focus and our growth stopped right there as a 7-year-old musician, that would be the extent of our music. But yearning and hoping is having the longer view, the mature view. A maturing and good musician focuses not on individual notes, but learns to look past them towards phrases, looks to themes, even the entire shape of the piece. And that's when we hear it for what it really is. What we've come to expect and know as normal is no longer the reality right now. The sooner we embrace that and make the best of what we have, the sooner we can understand it can still be good. It's in letting go what we've lost and starting planning for what might be possible that is the start of turning the corner and the role that yearning has to play. Expressing our hopes and wishes and yearnings of the heart is the way we look forward, even when looking forward doesn't quite seem possible to us. It's linked to our imagination. We're in constant need of imagining something better, something beyond the hurdle in front of us, something beyond playing one note at a time. As Barack Obama put it, it's in the face of difficulty, in the face of uncertainty, that we have the audacity to hope and imagine a better day. So today, we want to invite you to yearn a little, to dream a little, to hope a little, and to ponder these questions. What do you yearn for in our world? What are your post-COVID-19 wishes for yourselves, for the world, for your community? Is it a new tradition with your family that you dream of? Is it a commitment to do something different yourselves once this is done? Is it a world that's more sensitive or caring or compassionate? What do you yearn for in our world right now? We want to invite you to respond. In a few minutes, we'll share some of your responses, and we'll talk a little bit about what we're yearning for, what we're dreaming for, our wishes for a post-pandemic world. It's in our yearning and in our dreaming that we start to move forward. We can't wait to hear from you.
We're going to invite you to sing with us a song you know well, a song that we have sung many times in the year when we are waiting for more light as it grows towards winter solstice. We're singing it in spring as we're waiting for more light to come in this time of darkness. Sing with us. You'll find the words on your screen. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. We're hearing that you are yearning for equitable life for all the earth, thinking of our neighbors in the global south. You're yearning for continuing respect for those who serve us every day in so many ways. We're yearning to take the new skills and hobbies that we're developing during this abundance of time and incorporate them into our regular routines long term, enjoying and allowing ourselves to do things more slowly. Someone has shared their yearning is for a more compassionate world with less divisiveness. Another yearning for a world that is simpler and safer than it was. One of you has written, I hope we continue loving each person we've reconnected with, and we continue to see all the kindness that has come from friends and families, strangers. In a post-COVID world, I hope we can find the strength and courage to go out into the new world we find. Someone has shared their yearning for more hugs with my parents, more cooperation between nations and big pharma when it comes to global health concerns. Someone else has shared yearning for hugs from my family and a hope for a post-COVID world that I'll spend more time with my kids and grandkids and talk on the phone more often with friends that are far away. Another yearning expresses this, a re-examining of what it means to have enough. A yearning for strength and mastery-based educational system, a greater societal connection and appreciation of nature. From Saskatchewan, we heard a yearning for more insight and compassion, more collaboration, and less partisanship from our leaders. I yearn for a world that is more intentional, someone writes. A world that focuses on priorities and doesn't make being busy seem like the most important thing. Another response you've shared with us is a yearning for the undeniably good outcomes to continue and magnify to help soothe our spirits. Good vibrations from singing as one voice, a yearning to make eye contact with people again. And someone has expressed, I yearn to hold someone in my arms. Sandra and Art Hildebrand emailed us to say, Art and I have just chatted briefly in terms of our yearning, But out of that, we would like to offer the one yearning is for a continued new level of caring that has grown out of COVID-19, and the worldwide recognition of that caring. May we never forget that those who care in so many ways and continue to recognize and offer our appreciation from our words to our deeds. Sheila Parsons has shared with us, when we don't isolate or ghetto our seniors and they live among us with the many necessary supports to care for them as they age, we will pay our essential workers like we pay hockey and baseball players. Children will be top priorities in our budgets. Bobby Maudsley has expressed a yearning for the global community to have an understanding of unity. And Joanne Van Beek, for the earth to continue its healing. And from Joan Billow, cleaner, more sustainable environment, equal opportunities for all, not just some, more caring, compassion, getting together with family more often. And from Bernie Hardeen, I yearn for a world that keeps this attitude, focus on pulling together, continuing, especially to deal with the larger pandemic our world faces, that of poverty. The discrepancy between lots of those with and those without. The words from Arvin Burney. From Don and Annabelle Shepherd, to walk unfettered in nature, to see the changes we need to make. From Dave Jobson, as a society, principles of social justice require that wealth be redistributed in an equitable manner. A suggested equity condition would require that all individual basic needs are met, and that the mechanism by which wealth circulates over time ensures that this equity condition remains satisfied. Our yearning. And from Lauren Lee, to spend more quality time with grandchildren. And from Virginia Sauvé, leaders who understand the need to cooperate and work together for the good of the nation and all its communities. From Sherry Ann Chapman, individual, collective, and global first-hand experience of fresh air, blue sky, quiet cities, compassionate, just, peaceful relations with each other, with multi-legged, finned, winged, and all living systems that are Earth. We gather these many yearnings, the ones you've shared with us, the ones you've been thinking about, the ones you'll be expressing in this coming week.
That was amazing to hear your responses. Thank you for each of you that shared with us, and for those of you who will continue that conversation in your homes and with the people in your lives. I want to thank you for joining us this morning. Thanks to our crew here for making this possible, and thank you for your continued support of SSUC. Although we're not meeting in person, our community's commitments to others continues through this time. To agencies that are doing on-the-ground work, to places around the world that our dollars and our time help. We thank you, and we continue those commitments to those causes. For whatever ways that you can contribute during this time, we're grateful. There are a number of ways that you can donate to us during this time. The easiest would be at our website, online, through the donation vehicle there. You can also drop checks or your envelopes off at the church office during office hours. There's a box in the foyer. You can drop it off and have minimal contact. You can also contact the office to purchase grocery cards and have them set aside for you to pick up during those office hours. Lots of ways for you to contribute and to keep that going, and for all the ways that you have been doing that, thank you. A special invitation to join Nancy and I on a Zoom call tomorrow, every Monday at 3 p.m., using your computer or your iPad or your phone, whatever way that you can connect to Zoom. It's a way for us to be face-to-face, to connect in with each other, to share today's questions in a more full way, or to just chat and see how we're all doing. Please see the e-messenger that came out on Friday, or contact us for the links that you need to join that conversation tomorrow at 3 p.m. We've joined together to bring comfort and challenge this morning, to bring community, to bring connection in ways that are important and ways that hopefully bring meaning to each of our lives. As we go from this time, we continue with our days, whatever this day may bring to us, whatever we will make out of this day. We do that, and we go from this time wishing that our hopes and our yearnings, our futures, will be built from who we are today. They will be built from where we stand and the next steps we take with each other and for each other. So as we blow out our candles and go into the rest of our day and our week, we wish you that dream. We wish that yearning and that heart's desire may live and dwell within your hearts and not be diminished. We wish for all of you to stay connected and to stay safe. And as we go, we wish you well, and we wish you a happy Sunday.